So as far as the investment side, yeah, the dollar cost average, I think you had talked about that. That's a great way to start. If it sounds like you started some with the retirement with the Roth, but I don't know if you have a brokerage account, but if you don't open a brokerage account, a non-retirement brokerage account, so that's money that is not tied to your retirement, you can invest in that every single month. You spoke about Lawrence's class, so I'm assuming that you've been tapped in with that, so that's great as far as talk about investing, and then of course we talk about investing every Monday with Market Monday. So we talk about the ETFs, the index funds, all that stuff. So you can pick a couple of stocks, funds that you feel comfortable with, and start putting money in every single month. That's one way to just get the ball rolling, and get into the actual investment game where you're putting money away over a consistent period of time. Now, as far as the pilot situation, obviously from what you're saying, that's a little bit more capital, a lot more capital intensive. So it probably would be difficult to self raise or self fund that type of project. Me personally, I'm real big on collaboration. That's something that we've practiced and we still do to this day, is collaborate with different people. And I just personally feel like you can do a lot more together than you can separate. And even if that means working with other people for equity, like in giving up equity, like there's nothing wrong with giving up equity. Like we have given up equity, and our third partner, Mike, he's a childhood friend of ours, but when we brought him on, we didn't have enough money to actually pay him. So we gave him a part of the company. Now he's our business partner. So I think giving up ownership, giving up a portion of equity and giving up ownership are two different things. Giving up some equity can be a smart move if somebody can add value. That's why you give up equity. If you don't necessarily have the resources and you need to bring somebody on, now they can provide their talent, their relationships, whatever they can bring to the table, and they're not working for money because now they're a part of owner in the company. So the company's success is tied to their success. So it's in their best interest for the company to be successful, because the more money that the company makes, the more money that they make, as opposed to just hiring an employee. And if it's a good employee, then they'll work as hard just because that's what they're supposed to do. But obviously, there's a lot of employees that don't care because it doesn't matter how well the company does, or they're still going to get paid the same amount. So that's why the equity play is not always a bad play. Partnerships are not always bad. It's just a matter of just being intelligent about it, keeping ownership, keeping a majority stake, things of that nature. So I would approach it from that standpoint. I would approach it from partnerships. Look to see, you say you've been in the industry for a long time, so I'm sure you have a lot of great relationships with different people.
Hmm.
And who knows who would want to work with you or who would want to partner with you, and different things of that nature. So that's how I would approach it, as opposed to even thinking about funding it out of my own pocket with that much capital. If it was less capital, but if it's a lot, if it's going to be real capital intensive, then you might want to go a different route.
Okay, that's good though. That's the partnership is definitely something that's been out there. It's just again really holding in or owning in on the or honing in on the ownership piece. We definitely want to be attached, and I'm pretty sure you can tell. Like sometimes people don't take you seriously, but like I said, even with having the experience, it's like that. But that was some good insight. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, PMAC, we're coming to you. Unmute yourself, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
What's going on? Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, cool. Hey, I just wanted to ask quick question. I'm sure it's been asked many times. It's about 401k rollover. My specific question is, I have like 3 401ks from previous employers. I'm gonna roll like one of the bigger ones into a new one that I'm participating, that the employer is participating in. But then the 2 smaller ones, I want to be able to like invest myself. So just kind of to sum it up, I have I had it with Fidelity. I'm going to transfer the ledger amount into a company named The Principal, and I've always traded with TD. I had a brokerage account with Fidelity. But I'm transferring. I transferred those funds into TD because just what I've heard is that it's more user friendly, things of that nature. Now my question is, with the other 2 smaller ones that I'm not going to transfer into the account that's with my employer, I want to have a little bit of flexibility to move those around. So I didn't know if I should just keep the funds with Fidelity and have a separate IRA there, or transfer it into TD where I have my brokerage account. That way, I guess I'm a little confused on what's the benefits of having an IRA with a different company because I'm not going to put it with the I'm trying not to roll everything into my 401k. I'm trying to make sure that I have some flexibility to move it around as I feel fit.
So your current 401ks with Fidelity, and you're debating whether you should roll into an IRA with Fidelity or IRA with TD. Is that the question?
So it's actually with a different. So my current 401k, I'm
Well,
transferring
your old 401ks.
Yeah, the old one. Sorry, the old one was with Fidelity. So I'm transferring the old ones one of the old ones, the larger amount, to one that my employer is participating in. That's called the principal. So I'm already just that's kind of just out there. I'm gonna just put the bigger one into the one that they're contributing to. But the two smaller ones that I have with Fidelity, I guess I'm trying to figure out if it makes sense to transfer it over to TD since I'm kind of that's where my brokerage account is, my individual brokerage account. That way I could kind of line things up. That's what I'm thinking. Or I don't even know if there's any benefit of just having it taking that 401k and turning it into a IRA with Fidelity and just keeping it where it is.
Yeah, I think it just depends on whichever one you feel comfortable with, right? Like, I mean, Fidelity, TD, they're both good companies. They're both, very similar.
Right.
I personally like TD a little. I have both. I have Fidelity and TD. I like TD a little better because it just has a better user interface, in my opinion. But I
Right.
mean, it's not like one is dramatically better than the other. So I guess it's just whatever you feel comfortable with. But you can roll it over into a Fidelity IRA, and have control over it, and pick the investments that you want, or you can roll it over into a TD IRA and have control over and pick the investments that you want. So it really just depends, honestly. I mean, that's just up to you, like whichever one you feel most comfortable with. Like I said, me personally, I just like TD. I like TD better than Fidelity because I just feel like it has a better user interface, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I
that's
got you on that.
that's my personal opinion. So, but you can do either or. I mean, there's really no dramatic
Wrong
difference
answer, right?
from one than the other. Yeah, it's similar.
Okay, all right. And just the last thing on that, no matter where I go to transfer it, changing that 401k into an IRA, what's really the benefits of the IRA? When am I able to move things around as I feel? Like, because I know I can't do that with the 401k. So I'm assuming that's just the only benefit is the flexibility, right?
Well, a 401k is pretty much like frozen in a sense when you're not working there anymore. Not frozen where it's not growing, but well, when you leave a job, you can't add money to your 401k anymore. You can't borrow from
Right.
it. You don't have any like advice, and you're stuck with the investments that's provided for you from the 401k. So a 401k has like a menu of different options. Like they have like, let's say 15 different funds that you can pick and choose from, but you can only
Right.
invest in those funds. So with an IRA, you get to pick and choose the funds that you want, right? You can
Right.
add money to it. So like, let's say going forward, like you start a business, or your job doesn't have a 401k, your new job doesn't have a 401k, or you can always add money to an IRA. An IRA also can serve as like a central hub where you might leave multiple different jobs throughout the course of your life, and you might have like six different 401ks. That becomes a little difficult to manage, but you can always roll those 401ks into an IRA and have that as like the central hub for all of your old 401ks. So, I
Gotcha.
mean,
Gotcha.
in a nutshell, it just gives you more flexibility. Gives you more flexibility as far as being able to pick and choose your investments. And actually being able to put money into it as well. So those you don't have once you leave the company with an old 401k. So that's really the benefit with the IRA as opposed to keeping the money in the old 401k.
All right. Sounds good. I appreciate it, man.
All right, Andrew, we're coming to you. Unmute yourself, please.
And somebody said in the chat, you can access the IRA. You just pay penalty on it, just like a 401k. If you had like an old 401k and you took the money out before 59 and a half, you pay a penalty on it. But there are some provisions where you can actually take some money out of without paying the penalty tax, but you always pay state and federal tax on an IRA or a 401k. So they're both the same in that regards.